Away from Abuja, this is our Lagos studio. My name is Daniel Praise Osedebame. And of course, we'll be looking at the Edo State governor's inauguration. The new governor or the incoming governor or the governor-elect, as it were, will be taking over the baton of leadership today. Of course, as Edo stand on the brink of transformation, with the inauguration of the governor-elect, like I said, we are going to be looking at the expectations from Edolites. Everyone is looking up to the governor for what he will be bringing on board to change the narrative in governance. We have a very seasoned business expert, and of course, he was one of the front runner on the Labour Party ticket just concluded Edo 2024 gubernatorial election. He's also the MD CEO Regal Microfinance Bank. He's in person of Adolphus Aleto Arebame. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Daniel. It's always a pleasure to be
It's a delight
with you on
to
this
have you.
program.
Thank you very much. Mr. Aleto, as someone that is deeply invested in Edo's development, what do you see as the most critical priorities for Governor Okpebholo as he takes over the baton of leadership?
Thank you, Daniel. Let me first of all say that it's a beautiful day in Edo State this morning. The atmosphere is ecstatic. Um, Everyone is excited, and there's a lot of expectations. And remember that during the campaign, the governor has a five-point agenda that centered on education, agriculture, health, human capacity, and the likes. So, because of the experience that the citizens have gone through in the past couple of years, the expectations are high. And the governor has promised that he will hit the ground running. When you look at food security in Edo State, the governor is concerned about that. And he's somebody that is on ground and is very familiar with what what transpires in the state. So he's going to focus on agriculture with special attention to food security. The issue of security of life and property, it has been a big issue even across the world. But Senator Monday Okpebholo has, by his own way, have zeroed in, starting with his senatorial zone when he was a senator, as a frontline sponsor and champion of the ASAN Security Network. Uh, that was an identification of security of lives and property being an issue in Edo State. So a lot of people also have expectations in that direction. When you look at education and health, you can at best just put the two of them together, and with the apparent decadence in both sectors, the senator is going to take it on headlong. And of course, the deterioration of access to road infrastructure, statewide. People can't move from the center to any of the trainings. I think that people just want to see a change because the decadence has eaten deep into the fabric of the state, that a little effort from the senator will make people rejoice at his coming on board.
Okay, you have actually given a good insight on what Edolites should expect, but there is a very, very pressing issue at the moment. At the national level, APC at the national level is still battling for what some people see as a widespread or national acceptance, owing to some of the policies that is not really being friendly or being positive on the side of the people. Do you think Senator Monday Okpebholo, as he takes over from the outgoing government, he's going to do something different from what we are seeing at the national government?
Okay, Daniel, we must learn to separate. I mean, Nigeria runs a three-tier government. Okay, the one at the federal, the state, and the local government council. So we must learn to separate the three of them, because the constitution of Nigeria does give a separation, to those three tiers of government levels, and of course, each of them have their own responsibility. You see, I have seen happen in the past is that the federal government operates successfully, okay, and devolves power to the state for them to appropriately also operate at, and I mean, give the dividends of democracy to their people. At the state level, what the federal government have done is supposed to be replicated at the state level. But what we have found in the past is the hijacking of the power at the local government level. Don't forget that, I mean, you and I, we come from one local government or the other. So the grassroots, where development truly is and should be felt, should be at the grassroots level, which is the local government level and the third tier of government. But what has happened in most time, especially in the Edo State in the last few years, is seeing the state government hijacking that power, from the third tier, and um, holding on to that power at the detriment, of the people. But Senator Monday Okpebholo is going to do it differently, because he has said a number of times, I am just a leader. I will give power. I will give Edo people will govern themselves. I will allow Edo people to govern themselves. And what that means is a strict adherence to the rule of law, is a strict adherence to the constitutional provisions that empowers the local government to develop at their pace based on their resources, that they have been given, even based on the human capital that is available at their level. So having committed to that, I see that I tend to advise people that, look, the federal government does not have anything to do with the problem at the local government level, because there is no time in this country where we are told that the federal government has withheld or is withholding the allocation that is due to the state. So whatever is due to the state government, the federal government releases, and it is for a purpose. For what purpose? For the development and the welfare of their people. So if it is hijacked at the state level and the state refuses to also disburse what is due to the local government level, there's nothing that the federal government can do. I think that the orientation needs to start at that level, and that is where I absolve the federal government of everything of most of the things that people say about the federal government. Allow the federal government to deal with things, that has to do with territorial security of the country, and a more elaborate and strategic issues that have to do with the country. But every other thing that has to do with the tactical and operational survival of the people lies with the state and the local government.
Okay, Mr. Leto, as a stakeholder in the APC as it stands now, I would like you to help us make sense of this. As soon as Senator Monday Okpebholo was announced as the winner by INEC of the election that was concluded, that's going to make him the governor in few minutes of an hour time from now, people started saying, and I quote, that the lions and tigers and hyenas have returned back to the street. Of course, we saw clips where some people alleged that some talks belonging to the APC have started taking tax or taking laws into their hands. And this and many more happens to be the fear of an average Edo citizen. What will the governor do to debunk this and put things in the right perspective?
Okay, so I look at it differently, and permit me to do that. Every human being has a hyena, has a lion instinct, has that killer instinct in him. Even as you are, Daniel, you look so meek and humble. But when you are faced with a life and a critical situation, the lion instinct in you, the hyena instinct in you, will come out for you to defend yourself. It's for self-survival. Okay, so when people say that the lion and the hyena,
And
will
the
come and begin
tigers,
to
they are
ravage,
back to the
yeah, the
streets.
tiger, yes, and they will come and start ravaging the people. You see, every government have a responsibility to protect its people. As at the time they said the town of Benin was invaded by hoodlums, who they call tigers and hyenas, they invaded the people. The government had a responsibility to stop them. Senator Mondo Pewolo has not been in government. I mean, he's just going to be sworn in today. He didn't have any responsibility to do that. People can take laws into their hands. People can act based on. I mean, people can act based on their will. and capitalize on any opportunity to satisfy whatever appetite that they have. I don't think that the senator has to take blame for that until he takes over government fully. But the senator that I know has a plan for Edo State in terms of security. Or if for any reason you have hoodlums in the streets of Benin, the senator that knows his people, have that ability. He's a people-oriented person. He has that ability to call everybody to order. He will not He will not abdicate his responsibility, just as we have seen in the last government. You allow things to go bad just because you want to call a dog a bad name. No, that is not responsible. It's not responsible of any good government that have the love for his people. And you know that is what the Edo people have always, complained of, that the administration is detached, from the people, that they are just on their own. They imagine things, they imagine projects, they imagine opportunities, and that they want to place on the people. They imagine that that's what the people want. That is not what the people want. But I think that with Senator Monday Okpebholo coming on board, he is abreast. He's abreast of what the average man on the street in the Edo State, what he wants, and no one under his watch is going to take advantage, of any opportunity that comes up.
Talking about advantage and opportunities now, the transition committee from the APC side actually made some recommendations, and part of their recommendations is that the incoming governor, should look into the activities of the administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki. Is that really necessary?
I was saying that in every organization, in every system, you have expectations. And the normal thing to do to know whether you are making progress or not is to always appraise yourself against the realities. All right. And then at some point, you do what you call a variance analysis, just for you to know how far you have deviated, from your expectations. So if the transition committee recommends that there should be a performance evaluation of the previous administration, I don't in my own estimation, I do not think that they have done anything out of the ordinary. It is the proper thing to do, and that tells you the quality that you are going to be having from the APC government, a government that will sit down and appraise, and at every point in time that is performance oriented, wanting to know how far they have deviated from what they promised the people. If the previous administration had made certain promises, it makes sense. It makes sense to sit down and check how far they kept those promises, and that is where the people will better appreciate the government of the APC. It is not just enough for people to go around and peddle propaganda, and begin to preach of those things that that are not in place. But at the inception of your government, you did say that this was what you were going to do. Now, at the end of 8 years, how have you fared? And that is where the report card of that government is going to be written. You can't write your own report card. A third person needs to write your own report card. So, and that is exactly what the APC is going to do. Another reason that the APC might be doing that is apart from being performance oriented, another reason that the APC may be doing that is to ensure that they do not fall into the same pit that the previous administration had fallen. So, as a performance oriented government, as a people oriented government, the senator is going to be sure. The senator is going to ensure that his agenda for the people, his promises and the plans for the people, having few years along the line, few years from now, when he looks back, he takes a look back, he will be able to beat his chest and say, yes, I did what I promised to my people. And that is governance. And that is where prosperity, it stands you out.
Okay, moving on. In your view, what specific initiative should the new administration pursue to address those ongoing economic downturn and attract investors to stimulate growth in the state?
Yeah, you see, our state is so rich, especially our state is rich in natural resources, agricultural raw materials and all that. Uh, this state can open windows to very many manufacturing industries that are interested in backward integration. So, I mean, if you are a producer of whatever product, many of those resources or those raw materials that you're looking for, are in Edo State. So Edo State will open up to many manufacturers from various sectors, who might want to develop their raw materials to guarantee continuous and seamless production. So if you go to the agricultural sector, for instance, you can do a lot of cassava farming in Edo State. You can do a lot of rice farming. You can do a lot of maize farming. Maize and cassava are raw materials for a lot of manufacturing industries in Edo State. So the opportunities for industrialization, the opportunities for manufacturers and for economic revival is right here in Edo State. And it just takes a leader like Senator Monday Okpebholo to identify it and attract it. And let me also tell you, the demeanor and the disposition of the senator as we speak, somebody that we say he's a man of grace, somebody that we say that God goes before this kind of person, easily will attract friends, just the way some of us, were endeared to him simply because of, who he is. So you are going to find that several organizations, several manufacturing institutions, several business empires are going to be attracted not just to Edo State, but to him as a person because he's a businessman and he's somebody that has the heart of the people in focus, and that is just enough for us to have that in Edo State. So you are going. I am very optimistic that we are going to have an economic revival in Edo State. Industries will be attracted. The existing one will be, by the grace of God, will be revamped, and the people will know once again what it is like to govern, for result.
Talking about economic revival, like you said, the SMEs are really going through a lot. At least some of us have taken time to interface with them before now. There is no commodity or goods that doesn't have its association, and that is causing a serious bottleneck in that sector. What is he going to do to address the issue of excessive tax and having multiple taxation on these SMEs? And the economy is not really friendly at this point. What is he going to do to tackle the issue of having so many unions controlling produce, farm produce, and other commodities in the states?
Okay, so you see that when you see people tend to capitalize on opportunities that that um, that are prevalent at certain times, and if not well handled, they will mishandle it, not intentionally, but to their advantage. So when you talk about the unions, product unions, so product unions will only come up where the government has been complacent in terms of how much the citizen pay for certain products or certain produce. So, but you see, in the past, what we have seen in Edo State is a situation where people are just allowed to survive on their own. So people take initiative to survive on their own. You won't blame those cooperative societies, you won't blame those unions, but this administration, the APC administration under Senator Monday Okpebholo, will be looking more at a commodity board. I mean, commodity boards are in existence to be able to standardize, okay, and have uniform approach, uniform prices for different produce. So if you have a commodity board, for instance, where the commodity board advises on the prices of certain produce, there won't be that issue of having pockets of unions that are not under the control of government. So when they are not under the control of government, people will begin to make laws that suit themselves. But with a government like that of the APC that is being sworn in today, and putting in place a commodity board that is dedicated, that is people oriented, that focuses on the value that people are going to get, from what they have, what you can best expect is a society where those unions will be moderate. The activities of those unions will be moderated. The prices of produce will be standardized. So if you go to Edo North, you go to Edo Central, you go to Edo South, if you bring a ton of rubber, it will be the same price. If you bring a tuber of yam, it will be the same price. If you bring a 1 kilogram of pineapple, it will be the same. It makes you run away from that a situation where you have eclectic price changes or eclectic price variance, among the unions. So I see a government, led by the person of the Senator Monday Okpebholo, taking over the unions, aggregating the unions, bringing them under an umbrella, okay, and then scientifically and compassionately talking to them, to subject themselves to that commodity board so that everybody can benefit from it. It's a bargaining. It's mutual. The bargaining is going to be mutual. The producer will benefit, the farmer will benefit, the middleman will benefit, and then the end user. The benefit of that too is that at the end of the day, the price, the final price at which that produce gets to the beneficiary of.
The governor-elect, in one of his thank you visits to one of the markets, he actually told them that no more tax. You don't need to pay tax again. Bye bye to tax. Was he just using that as a stunt against the outgoing government, or he actually meant it?
So if the governor, if the senate, if the governor elect, who is going to be sworn in today by the grace of God to be the governor, has come out to tell the market women that the end of taxes or multiple taxes for them is over, then I think it is over, if that is what he has said. See, Daniel, you don't need to tax the market women who toil day and night for Edo State to meet their IGRO target. The only thing that we need to do as a government is to think outside the box and be creative. There are several ways that the government can ramp up their IGR. It must not be through the market women. So if the governor have come out to say that the taxes are over for those struggling mothers, then I think he means it and he can keep his word.
Okay, we are going to let you go in a moment, but quickly, you are a business expert and, of course, the CEO Regal Microfinance Bank that has been into business for years. His 100 days in office, what are your expectations? His first 100 days in office, quickly.
Yes, my expectations are, I align with the people. I align with the people of Edo State. And as a people, our expectations are not out of this world. The first thing that we want to see is the security of lives and property. We want to be able to move about without any fear of being harmed. Then we want to be able to move from one place to the other. Our roads are bad. It is difficult to move. So that expectation is also not out of the ordinary. We want to be able to move from our villages to towns. We want to be able to move within the town of Benin. We want to be able to move freely. We want to see our schools. The infrastructural decay in our schools is something else. It's something out of the ordinary. It's unimaginable. We want to see, at least, if you cannot rehabilitate or renovate all the schools in those states, he should be able to renovate some of those schools. Let some schools at least have roof over their heads. Let our children be able to study in an appropriate environment, in an environment that is appealing, that will attract children, to school. We want people to be able to go to health centers and be treated. If he wants to, it depends on what the administration wants to do. But the infrastructure for health should be on ground. Let people be able to receive affordable health. Okay, so in the first 100 days, these are not things that are too much for the senator to achieve as the governor, of Edo State. And I know that because he's prepared, because he has wanted, to affect the people positively. I think that these four areas, roads, security, health, and education, will be something that he can achieve in the first 100 days.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Arebame, for actually finding time and your patience to be on the program. However, you look good in native anyway.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is the spirit of inauguration. So I'm in my state and I'm enjoying all I'm enjoying all the excitement. Thank
Okay.
you so much for your compliments,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Was wondering you were not on suits as usual. Okay, thank you very much. That was Mr. Aleto Arebame.